friends, in a real fly-by-night maneuver, I was within minutes of the announcement, and this is true, within minutes of the announcement, transferred from Rosdorf in the south of the state of Lower Saxony to Bremervoerde in the north of Lower Saxony. I want to take this opportunity to both give you a heads up and to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for your continued steadfast and unwavering support, because it is this connection, this international human connection, which exists between all of us real humans on this side of the fence, the right side of the fence, which enables us to win the war against evil, the war against the monsters. We are the cavalry, the only functioning cavalry. No one else is. So where do we stand now? In my crazy fake case, we have, of course, appealed the verdict, and to file the detailed appellate brief, we have 4 weeks. The clock for these 4 weeks started to tick on May the 30th, when the court sent the written decision, not to my lead counsel, Katja Wörmer, or to any of the other 2 attorneys, but to the court-appointed public defender. Because of the sudden and unexpected transfer, I was not allowed to take my electric typewriter with me, nor the copy of the prosecution's case file, nor any of the written assessments I have compiled to keep track of what has been going on in court and in prison. In other words, for almost 10 days now, I have been unable to help my defense and appellate lawyers. I do not believe that this, or the fact that only the court-appointed public defender was provided with the written decision on May 30th, was a coincidence. Be it as it may, I also want to thank my defense team for their work, not just in court, but literally against the court, against the judges, which turned out to be not independent, unbiased judges, but in effect, the deep state's hitmen. No one who saw what happened during the trial failed to see how very difficult that defense work was. I want to thank in particular Katja Wörmer, who will continue to be available for my appellate lawyers in case they need specific information. I also want to thank Edgar Simon for his excellent closing argument, which focused on the gist of the matter, on the crucial area of civil corporate law. And I want to thank Dr. Christoph Miseret, for providing us with the extremely important dossier which the German Domestic Intelligence Service had put together on me. But even more important, I want to thank him for the info, the intelligence, that Judge Schindler was approached by the Domestic Intelligence Service after the prosecution's case against me about illegal loans had collapsed. That prompted him, Judge Schindler, on May the 3rd, 2024, to invent new charges out of thin air of me having allegedly violated a secret agreement. And it prompted him to literally shut down the proceeding by refusing to hear any of the defense's witnesses that we had named to refute these new, obviously fake allegations. Dr. Miseret, and this is very important, got both the dossier and this particular piece of information from a whistleblower inside the German Foreign Intelligence Service, BND, which had, as early as at the beginning of 2020, collected evidence showing that there was something seriously wrong with the fake narrative of a pandemic. But I also want to thank the court-appointed public defender. Yes, the court appointed him because he would not defend me against the court, which was necessary, as he's dependent on the court giving him more jobs as a public defender. But he did manage to nail the two women who run the Rosdorf prison by forcing them to provide him with the documentary evidence which clearly shows that there had never been any justification for the white torture. It also shows, this documentary evidence, that the measures which I was subjected to by the prison in Rosdorf in close cooperation with Judge Schindler, it also shows that there were only fake allegations invented by the two women who run the show in Rosdorf, some of which were openly stupid. For example, that I had spoken with Muslim inmates. The problem is there's hardly anyone else. However, I'm certain that there's another reason for this sudden transfer to another prison, and that is fear. Because as a result of their keeping me in prison, for 6 months in solitary confinement, but for 19 months in total in Rosdorf, in pretrial detention, I was able to talk to many people, including prison officers, who had never seen anything like this. The 6 months of solitary confinement, by not being able to see my dying mother, go and attend her funeral, all the other measures, and some of whom approached me and even told me, when nobody listened, nobody noticed this, and even told me to stay strong, because there are many others, one of them said, there's many others who are on your side, so keep going. But it also enabled me to talk to many of the prisoners, see the paperwork for them, and this is probably what is making them really afraid of me, because I have filed on behalf of some of the prisoners. I have filed many criminal complaints, and I also helped some of them to file criminal complaints. And as a result of this, we could see that this was all buried by the Göttingen judiciary, because they all want to keep a lid on this. However, we have documented it all, and I will, in a couple of days, make one of the complaints, the most important one probably. You'll meet my old friend Bodo again. I will make this public because this is, I believe, justified. Because you'll see that there's, in the medical department in particular, there's a lot of very, very strange medical and psychological experiments going on that kill and maim prisoners. This is always hushed up so that the public in Göttingen will not know anything about it. So we're going to have to change this. So much for that one. As far as the decision, the written decision by Judge Schindler is concerned, there are no surprises. He ignores everything that we, based on the content of the prosecution's case file, argued with respect to the German domestic intelligence service controlling the entire fake case from beginning to end in order to take me down for my pandemic exposure work. He ignores this, claiming that this is all conspiracy theory that he doesn't need to bother with. This, of course, is even more true if the German intelligence service uses agents to make them, the agent, commit crimes in order to blame these crimes on others who use these crimes to file criminal complaints against others. What am I talking about? Well, there's a number of rulings, both by the German Supreme Court and by the German Constitutional Court, which both agree that if the domestic intelligence service uses agents to incite others to commit crimes, such crimes are deemed to be crimes committed by the state or the federal government and cannot be prosecuted. Again, this, of course, is even more true if the German intelligence service uses agents to make them, the agents, commit crimes in order to blame these crimes on others, or use these crimes to file criminal complaints against others. And this is precisely what happened here in my case. The government's agents, having been granted full immunity by the government, stole my money in order to be able to file a criminal complaint against me in which they accused me of having taken out a loan which I never paid back. Well, obviously I never paid it back because they stole my money. At any rate, Schindler downplays the measures, the white torture stuff, including solitary confinement, stating that this was normal procedure for pretrial detention. He doesn't even mention the story about my mother. And, of course, he says that the defense lawyers lied about being threatened and attacked by the government's agents, completely disregards the evidence we showed in court proving that it was the government's agents, the guys who filed the criminal complaint, who are behind the threats, including death threats, hiding behind fake identities. Schindler even claims that Katja's breakdown after she had been saved by officers of the court from an attempt, a physical attack on her, even that was fake. Well, we didn't expect anything else from this judge and this court, as this was, of course, the final phase of the court's following orders. As soon as we are able to make my final statement, which is, in fact, a criminal complaint against the court and the prosecution and others, as soon as we're able to publish this, we will do so. But the problem is that the publication of this final statement and criminal complaint was slowed down by my sudden and unexpected transfer to another prison, as I have not had any access either to my typewriter or the prosecution's file, copy of the prosecution's file, or my own notes. And that, I believe, is not a coincidence either. At any rate, I'm still standing, and nothing will change that, because I am convinced that right now, in all this chaos that seems to be consuming this planet, we, and I in particular, need to stay calm and focused and realize that almost all of this chaos is staged and just an illusion to put us in panic mode. This is psychological warfare. I've said this many times before. And we, the humans, the real humans on this side of the fence, know and sense this. And we know that we'll need to take responsibility for our own lives very, very soon, as the crash is now imminent. It will be up to us to bring the monsters to justice, and that we will do. Let us finish the job. We can and must do it, I believe. Once again, I want to thank you all for your incredible and incredibly moving support. I will keep calm and focused, and I'll do my best to strike back when the time is right. That, I think, is very soon. There's a song by Otis Redding that puts me in the right mood, and that is Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. And there's another song by a group called Empire of the Sun, I think it's a one-hit wonder, whose title is We Are the People. That reminds us who's the boss. I'll see you all soon.